Hello and welcome to this facilitator training. In this video, we'll be going over the basics of facilitation, roles and responsibilities of a facilitator, and qualities that make a good facilitator. So what is facilitation? Facilitation is defined as the act of engaging participants in creating, discovering, and applying learning insights. Typically, this takes place during group meetings or discussions. The facilitator acts as a guide for meeting participants. They might provide topic prompts, ask clarifying questions, moderate discussions, support brainstorming, and they may even be responsible for designing the flow of the meeting. Now, a facilitator can be a team member who is working on a project, who is engaging in the meeting as another team member, and will be doing the work that comes out of the meeting. Or the facilitator can be a neutral third-party person who is only there to facilitate discussion and the meeting. If you are that third-party person who's not part of the team, you're not meant to come up with solutions, but to help the group problem solve and brainstorm their own solutions. Facilitation is not for everyone, so it is important to keep in mind that if you want to facilitate, these are some qualities that you should have or that you are working on to improve for yourself. A good facilitator is organized. So you want to send out the agenda and meeting minutes on time. You want to stick with the group agenda and follow through on the tasks that were identified. You want to make sure that if you say you're going to do something, that you follow up and you actually do it. If you promise that you're going to send resources or send something to a team member, you need to make sure that you follow through. So it's really important for a facilitator to make sure that they themselves are organized so that they can, in turn, keep the group organized. You also want to be a good listener. I mentioned that you, as the facilitator, you might not want to be the person who is also taking notes during the meeting because it's really important to be an active listener. So you're responding to the things that people are saying, you're helping to guide the topics along so that all team members are able to give their input, that you're able to get as deep as you need to go to solve the problems that you're discussing or to complete the tasks that you need to complete. And then you also want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on whether or not everyone is engaged, if there seems to be any problems that are popping up. If you are an active listener and you're really connecting with your team members, then you should be able to identify where there might be some issues that are coming up. You also want to be aware of asking follow-up questions if clarifications from a participant is needed. It's very likely that if you as a facilitator don't understand what is being presented, that other participants are also not sure what is being presented. And a facilitator is the perfect role to make sure that you're asking those questions, that you're making sure everybody understands what's happening. It's also really important as a facilitator to accept feedback. I mentioned in the previous slide that you want to be asking for feedback from participants frequently and often. And this is really critical to make sure that you are providing the group everything that they need. Everybody has their own way of doing things, and the same is true for groups, the same is true for facilitators. But as a facilitator, you do need to be flexible and shift your way of working to what the group needs. So it's important to accept feedback, not take it personally, and adjust your approach when needed. It's really important to be empathetic as well. As I mentioned, along with being a good listener, if you are empathetic and you are connecting with your team members and the participants, then you are able to find those things that might be problems in the future if you don't address them. So you want to check in with the participants to make sure that they're understanding, that they're engaged, and if they're not, what can you do to help? And finally, you want to make sure that you're energetic and motivating. Plenty of people don't enjoy sitting in meetings, and they might lose interest or motivation to remain fully engaged. So, as a facilitator, it's your responsibility to keep it fun, keep it fast paced, keep it enjoyable, but also making sure that it is an effective meeting. So having this energetic and motivating personality or air about you is a great way to keep everybody following along and engaged. And that's it for this presentation. Now, I do want to share briefly our Notion page. This is the Notion page for the Copper Corridor Collab, and this is the training page. At this time, there's only facilitator training materials. So you can see here is this recording here. There's also the facilitator training slide deck and resources on agenda creation, setting ground rules, staying on time during meetings, sharing the speaking space and making sure everyone is heard, group brainstorming, shared decision making, dealing with disruptive behavior, and finally writing meeting minutes. So if you open these up, you'll be able to see the step-by-step instructions on how to do these different things. And over here on the left, you can also navigate in between all of our other groups. So this is our training page, but we also have a regional economy working group, a land use working group, arts and culture working group, and self-sufficiency working group, as well as our general group here. And each page has all of the resources needed for the team members. So this page, for example, has our meeting summaries and meeting recordings and all of our strategic planning documents for creating causal loop diagrams for the copper corridor. And then we also have our meeting calendar. Something like this is a really helpful tool for a facilitator to keep organized and make sure that you are sharing all of the relevant information with your team. So I highly recommend that you look into this. It is free and you're able to share it with your entire team. So this is just a great resource. Thank you and have a great day.